My name is Edna Laurent-Tellus, and I'm the founder and CEO of Awake IntuMind.
And I'm Dr. Karen Abdul, and I'm the founder and director of Beryllium Psychiatric Services. We are so excited to bring to you the amazing world of holistic mental health. We are proud to be part of a rich tradition spanning millennia that has incorporated herbs, exercise, healthy sleep practices, good nutrition, community, and spirituality into having optimal mental health. Today, with the discoveries of modern medicine, we have the tools to boost the mental health of our communities. We're excited to have you on this journey. Come along with us.
Hello, Dr. Abdul. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes, it's great to be here with you too, Edna. It's been a long time coming.
Oh my God. Yes. Actually, I remember when we met, at the State House, and here we are now, really looking at, collaborating in some work and educating the community in terms of what we do. So I'm going to let you start by giving the community a little bit of, telling them a little bit about you, what you do, and your company.
So I'm Dr. Karen Abdul, and my company is Beryllium Psychiatric Services. And what we do is we really provide holistic mental health care for the community. And our care reaches well beyond medication to therapy, to exercise planning, nutrition planning, sleep uh, advice, and a lot of education to help people understand how these things really help to build your mental health. And it's been an exciting journey. Um, we are adding a child psychiatrist this year, so I'm really excited to see how we will build and incorporate uh, these methods for treating children. And I want to ask you, please talk about Awakened Mind.
Yes, thank you. And actually, as I'm reflecting on how we met, I remember meeting with you at the State House, but you were the keynote speaker at that
Yes.
event. And I sat down and I was listening to it, and I was like, it's kind of like everything that I believe in. And here we are, there's a medical doctor in the field of psychiatry talking about it. And that was very refreshing to me. So, in terms of Awaken to Mind, that's exactly what gave birth to Awaken to Mind. I've been in the field of social work for over, I'm going to say 40 years now, because, I feel like, since, in my 20s, that's
Yes.
really where I gravitated, in terms of doing that kind of work. And when I did my, master degree, my focus was really on the system. Basically, I did really management and looking at the system of medicine because, my parents, I'm going to say mostly my mom wanted me to be a medical doctor. So I always interested in the field of medicine, but no interest on being a medical doctor. But I always loved to help people. And psychology really was the first psychology class I took, I really was attracted to it. And I said, this is what I want to do. So when I went into the field more into the business side, I had the opportunity to do both, to do some more clinical work, individual work, and have my license as a therapist and also work as an administrator. But mostly it was administration. So as I was looking at the system, and looking at the system of medicines, again, the policies, the way they are structured, it's really not structured really in a holistic way where we're really looking at people as a whole. We look at people as parts. There's like this part. And in psychology, I found that, it was really detrimental to our health, because you cannot separate your mind or your brain from your body, and the brain is really where everything happens.
That's
So
true.
long story short is that, as I was doing the work and I was focusing more on trauma informed because it was more in the minority community, what I was preaching, I feel like, I was doing to myself and to my staff. And it's nobody's fault. It's really the way the system is structured. So I decided that, I needed to be out. It's like the movie Get Out. I needed to get out, and do something different. And that's how Awaken to Mind was created. Really creating that space where clinician can come and practice the way they want to practice. I can practice the way I want to practice. So incorporating coaching and therapy as part of the company was another way for me to look at all aspects. So in a nutshell, this is Awaken to Mind. We really provide therapy, we provide coaching, and we really are very passionate about helping women of color, because we can really identify with the culture. Okay, and my experience in the field also is that, a lot of women of color are not seeking help, especially mental health, because they really has not been able to find therapists who can really connect with their own experiences.
That story is amazing, and it resonates so deeply with me, because it really makes me think of my own story as a physician working, within a very corporate context. And the reasons that I decided to strike out on my own. Um, when I first decided to start Beryllium, I was incredibly burned out. I was being asked to see patients. It really felt like I was in like a processing line, and my patients were, these things that I was supposed to repair, and I needed to get them repaired within this certain time in this certain way. And if that was not done, then I was not meeting productivity. It was it was very stressful. And I, like lots of doctors around me, was so burnt out. But I think the thing that burnt me out the most was the fact that I felt like I wasn't helping my patients to get better. Um, Medication only does so much, and it's very helpful, um, in many, many ways, but it it cannot be the end of, care for our patients. And so for me, it was imperative that I strike out on my own and build, because number one, what was happening was not sustainable for me and my health. And number two, my patients weren't really getting better the way that I thought they could get better. And so building a company where people could harness so many different modalities for treatment, I think has worked wonders, and it has led to these like really deep rewards where like you actually see people getting better in ways that they would just weren't getting better within the system of corporate care. And I would love to hear from you, whether that has also been your experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. As you were talking, I was smiling because I said, that's exactly it. That's exactly
Mhm.
it. Because we came in the field to help, but also we all know the reward is really to see people getting better. And
Yes.
and if people are not getting better, it's really more it's a reflection on you and what you're doing, and it's always also bring you down.
Yes.
So I definitely agree with what you were talking, because I have seen life transform because I was able to be in a space myself, to be able to be in a space where I can create that safe zone. I didn't have to rush people, because again, what people don't understand in terms of business is that it's not a question that I still take insurance, okay, in my practice, and I know a lot of practitioners don't take insurance, like yourself right now. What I said to people, it's really a question of how are you going to balance your profit? Am I going to balance it based on cutting corners with my clients, or I can be more creative in creating more things that can offset one thing. So when you are the owner and you are the person doing that, you have more freedom, more liberty to be able to do that. So I'm totally in agreement with you in terms of yes, I have seen the difference, when I was working in the system more than as I'm creating more a space, to do the work with the client, and myself, and also, teaching other people on how they can do the same. So that's really very, very important, for me. So let me just, as we know, I know we don't have a lot of time, but let's see, if we can clarify some confusion about like traditional and western medicine, because in a way we talk about holistic, and both of us really looking at the word holistically, but people may not really know the difference. So if we can talk a little bit about that, and what your understanding of that, and you can clarify some confusion that people may have about that, that would be
Yes. So, it's interesting that the word holistic has become synonymous with what we call quote unquote alternative medicine. It actually isn't. Holistic actually incorporates all the different kinds of methodologies in order to treat the patient's mental health. So, holistic care includes a lot of the conventional or, kind of Western medicine type care, which people traditionally think of as things like medication, labs, procedures, those kinds of things, and incorporates them with other types of healthcare that we had not, considered as valid for a very long time, but have been used for thousands and thousands of years, traditionally in, indigenous populations here in the United States, as well as in Eastern medicine, which, we brought from the continent of Africa, from the continent of India, in my case as well. And, we brought these means of healing over to the West, and they're now being given validity. So, adding, herbal medicine, the whole idea of exercise, particularly in our case, dance, as a way of community expression, as a way of spiritual connection, and as a way of exercise, which we find gives so much benefit to the brain and to the mental health. All of these different concepts are now being recognized as a valid part of mental health treatment.
yes. I'm glad that you went into that a little bit in terms of people looking at holistic as an alternative, when it's really what existed, from the beginning.
Yes.
What we said traditional medicine is really the medicine, that brought to us the conventional medicine now, because a lot of people, because I'm a student of public policy, and my focus, even in my master's studies, was really into the policies of medicines, you know, how we have the system we have now. Because a lot of people don't even think before we had those hospitals and all this system that, you know, the way it established now, people were still getting sick. They were still getting ill. They were still getting, you know, this stuff. Where, you know,
Right.
it's just like, you know, in the animal kingdoms, and they don't have, you know, hospitals set up somewhere. How do they heal themselves? They're not, you know,
Exactly.
naturally we were born to really know and to, and from our tradition, you know, and I can speak more from the African perspective in terms of, you know, healing. You know, the first thing, you know, like, you know, I don't know, again, I came in the system, but I grew up, you know, in Haiti, and every time somebody has something, if it's a headache, they know what herbs to do. If it's a fever, they will tell you what herbs. If it's, you know,
Hmm.
like, you know, hey, you know, it's something, you know, to prevent infection, they know what herbs. Those are things that were passed on, and that's really what created, you know, the current system that we have. But unfortunately, the current system left so much of what was there, you know, and it's like, you
Yes.
know, take it out that, you know, the system we're having now, you know, it's not really as effective in treating, and I'm going to say, you know, it's really in treating chronic issues more. Because if you have
Right.
an infection, you know, if you have an infection, you need a surgery right now for something that's going to, you know, it's life threatening, you know, like blood transfusion and stuff like that. This system is the best system ever.
Yes.
But when it comes to things like, you know, we said, you know, like mental health, where it's not a one, you know, thing, you know, dimensional, can I say, you know, thing. It's really,
Right.
it's embracing, you know, so many different aspects in terms of even, you know, how mental illness, you know, come to be, you know, because it's like, you know, you have the genetic piece, you have the life experiences, there's so many, you have the culture, there's so many things that involve, and you can talk a little bit more about that in your through your perspective as a doctor.
Yes, you said so many different things there, that made me think about, how we practiced medicine in the Caribbean and, you know, what was happening here. And I remember when this separation first came into my consciousness when I was in medical school, and there was kind of like this poo-pooing of, the traditional way of treating people from many quarters. And in my mind, I didn't understand why there was a division between what we were learning in medical school and what had been used traditionally to treat people, because we did that in the Caribbean, seamlessly. I remember, for a fever, I would get the Tylenol, they called it paracetamol there. And I would also get, the shining bush tea and the lime bud tea and, the soup with whatever in it. And all of these things, and then my grandmother would wrap me up in a blanket and say, okay, you go to sleep. So I would also get the rest and everything. We got honey pretty routinely. I knew ever since I was little, honey and lime. Honey and lime, they made a very thick, um, a viscous like liquid, and you had to drink that with a spoon, and it was this intense thing. And it was interesting to me to discover all of these years later, 40 something years later, was when they actually did the research and discovered that honey actually shortens the length of a cold. And that's after, all of this war that was going on, that we never I never experienced that in the Caribbean. There was no war in the Caribbean. You did everything. So Yeah, it's one of these things that was a loss to the medical community. I'm glad they're putting it back in. And I feel like one of the biggest disservices has been to mental health because it's been one of the very last fields in which, you know, a broader approach has been used. It's one of the very last fields where that has been used. And, you know, I'm glad that we are able to construct, what is thousands of years old, but is ending up being really cutting edge patient care in this way. It's amazing to be able to do it and to do it in a way that our patients can access. So yeah, that's my thought as a medical doctor.
You bring such great, and rich perspective, to the conversation based on really where you come from and how you are practicing now.
It's been so great chatting with you, Edna. And I'm so excited for this series. I'm excited for us to really help people to understand how traditional medicine can work with conventional medicine to support our mental health. And, really for us as well to form community with people who are really looking for effective ways to change their lives. And like you said, transform, that's such a powerful word, transform their mental health. I am excited, and I hope that you are excited too for everything that we're going to be doing here.
Yes, I am very excited. And thank you very much for being with me also here. And I'm looking forward to our next, talk. And I know we talk about living a challenge, for the community. So I'm going to kind of like let you lead on that. What is the challenge today that you would like to lead?
So, so today we would like to hear from you. What did you think of conventional and traditional medicine? Did you think one was better than the other? So please pop your thoughts in the chat, and who knows, maybe your thought might be featured in our next session where we will be going through the chat. We hope that we can respond to people, and we will definitely read some of your comments coming up in our next session. We are so happy to be with you. We're happy to hear from you, and we're happy to go through this journey with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.